Good afternoon, crafters. We are live. My name is Hannah Oxberry and I am the brand ambassador for Carnation Crafts. We're going to do, as we always do with these Facebook Lives, give it a little while just so everyone who wants to join us live can find us and do so. But essentially this afternoon is all about you guys. What I do is encourage you, if you've got any questions as we go through the live demonstration, type up your questions and comments in the comments section and I will do my level best to answer as we go. So I can see a couple of people joining us already. Tracy's here from Glen Ross in Scotland. Hi Tracy, I hope you're keeping well. Do you know what? It's been really cold and windy here, so I hope the weather's faring better up where you are. This afternoon, our Facebook Live is all about moments in time. Now, this is actually a demonstration or a cutting demonstration we did a couple of weeks ago in group. For whatever reason, I'm not sure, gremlins probably. The file itself was errored, it didn't upload properly. So we're going again, but this time around, what we are going to do is include the standout frame cutting demonstration alongside how to then build that into a full card. And we'll also touch on how to use the numbers within the Moments in Time collection as well. So hopefully, for anyone joining us, perhaps you're crafting along, you're going to find this helpful, inspirational, and as always, we would encourage you, if you are going to make along with us or make afterwards, please do pop your makes up in our group, which is Carnation Crafters on Facebook as well. There we are. Lots of people joining in. So Pauline's here, Karen's here, Susan's here as well. Diane says, yep, blowing and gale here as well. Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? You wouldn't know it was May. But do you know what that means? It means we can stay in the warm and enjoy our crafting without feeling too guilty about it either. Yeah, Anita has literally just said ideal weather for crafting, and isn't it just? It's perfect. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to have a little swing round of the camera. Just like so. So now you can see a top-down view across the top of the table. You will see we have a few die cuts ready to go to build this into a card. But what I have got in front of me is the vignette printout for the Standout Rose frame from the Moments in Time collection. Now, if you're not familiar with Carnation Crafts, perhaps you're not familiar with vignettes, these are our coloured artworks that are available to download for each and every collection, available for free for the original colourways from carnationcrafts.co.uk. You just click on downloads, followed by free downloads, and then you can search by collection as well, in this case Moments in Time, and it will bring up all the free downloads that are associated with that particular collection. Okay, there's various ways of downloading, various recommendations that we say. Essentially, what you need to do is pop your chosen download into your basket and follow the checkout process, from which point a little pop-up will arrive, if you like, a little order confirmation where you get your download links, and this is also emailed to you. If you have created an account with us, those downloads are saved to your account as well to be accessible at any time too. What else to say with vignettes? We recommend Adobe Reader. It's a free PDF reader software. It's what we use in Office, and it ensures a little bit more greater control over opening and adjusting the vignette should you need to. When printing your vignettes, we suggest printing at 100% or actual size. Wording does differ depending on the machine and print program you're using. And as you see here, we have printed on what we call our Pro printing paper, which is a nice high quality printing paper, which ensures a really nice high quality finish to your inks as well. So the inks stay on the surface rather than bleeding through the paper. And it means you get this, not only this vibrancy of colour, but this level of detail as well. For this one, I'm working as a standard vignette. So normally you hear me talk about mirrored vignettes, which are our vignettes which are available with double-sided images on, a little bit like this one here. So you've got the one image on the front, and then the reverse is also fully coloured as well, which is great. If you're going to see the backs of anything, it is ideal for that. For the Standout Rose, I'm using just our standard non-mirrored version. So I'm working on a 220 GSM Pro printing paper. Let's just have a look if we've got any questions coming in. Lots of hellos, which is lovely. Hello to Jane and Caroline and Anne and Julia. Carol's here as well. We have Diane and Jeanette. Jeanette says, busy crafting in the motorhome, wind, rain, and not very pleasant, so good bit of crafting. Yeah, I know, it has been awful this week, so hopefully the weather brightens up for you, Jeanette. Kate says, do you know when or if this collection will be available again? As with all our collection, we do have ongoing orders coming in. The collections are always made available after the Create and Craft shows on our website, carnationcrafts.co.uk. If it is out of stock at the moment, you can always sign up from the product pages for a notification as to when this collection becomes available too. We've got a couple of people saying there's an echo. I'm really sorry, I don't know why. I can't do much about that. Unfortunately, it might be the videos, the different cameras picking up on different levels. Let me just click that and see whether I can do anything about videos. No, sorry guys, I can't change that. So hopefully you can bear with me. It might be all sorts of reasons for that. So cutting out the standout frame, we get a lot of queries about this one, and actually once you go through it, it is super simple. We do have a cutting guide available to download for free from our website as well. If you head to carnationcrafts.co.uk and click on the inspiration page, if you scroll down, you'll find actually quite a lot of different instruction pages on there. We have the alignment tool for standout rose frame available on there too. When you print it out, it gives you this reference. Okay, so it's a little bit like a clock dial. Essentially what we're going to be doing is using this in the same orientation as our vignette printout here as well. Okay, what we're going to do first up is align the outside. Okay, so the die itself comes in several parts. You've got your traditional mats and layers around the outside, which can be used to create your card blanks or your toppers as well. You then have also the little frame part, as well as the detailed part. Okay, so lots and lots of different combinations and ways to cut this. The detailed part doesn't actually have a cutting edge all the way around the outside, which is ideal if you want to cut it into your card and then have it left in place. Okay, if we want to cut it out of a vignette, we use the outer frame on this as well. So we just start aligning. We always start alignment from the outside in, because that allows us to then stick the dies onto the page and then sort of easily work the inside as well. So you'll notice on the vignettes themselves, when you're printing, print to 100%, I think I have said that, or actual size, depending on the wording of your computer program. And it is just a case of lining up. So obviously I'm sitting off to one edge and trying not to get my head in the way of the camera. So we're just gonna adjust until we have got that aligned all the way around. You'll notice not only do we have sort of the little areas cut away from the die, which means you can line up, the vignette itself has what we call a bleed line all the way around the edge too, which allows you not only edge to edge colour, but also this ability to then easily line up, because that little area needs to be the same width all the way around. I'm holding that particular die in place using repositionable tape. Okay, it's tape that not too sticky, so it just holds the die in place as it goes through the machine so things don't jump around. It can be reused. The particular brand I use is Scotch tape. Let's go in for the next one. Now this seems to be the die set everyone has slight issue with, perhaps, lining up. But if we just refer to the page here, let me bring it up to camera so you can see. On the diagram, you've got this area indicated, which looks like a little shield with two little bubbles and a little rectangle, okay? That pattern of cutaways just here is not repeated anywhere else on the die cut. So that's the little area you're looking for. As we've said, the orientation for it is if you're looking at a clock dial, it will then line up with the vignette just like so, pointing towards 11. As an extra little check, directly opposite this grouping of cutaway holes is a similar little design with two shields and almost like a little nose and mouth design there, but it doesn't have that rectangle on the edge. Okay, it's that little rectangle here highlighted in red, which makes all the difference. Okay, if we look at our die, I'll put my hand underneath it so you can see that same pattern with the two little shield shapes and the little nose and mouth, and then that rectangle just on the edge of the die design. As that extra check, as we've just mentioned on the page, if we go opposite on the clock face, you've then got those two little nodules again and that same little shape without the rectangle. If you scan around the edge of that die, you will see nowhere else that pattern repeated, okay? What I have done for quick alignment is I've taken the permanent marker, just a Sharpie, a black Sharpie, and I've just gone around the edge of that little rectangle so I can see at a quick glance how we line this die up, okay? So we've got that marked, we're following our guide, we then introduce this to the paper like so. Remember, you're having that rectangle lining up with about 11 o'clock if it was a clock face. As soon as you pop that down, if you've got that rectangle in the right place, you'll see the bright pink from underneath will easily shuffle into view in each and every one of the little openings, okay, the little cutaways. Now you will notice what I'm doing, just to shimmy that into position. I'm holding the die with one hand and then using my pokey tool to just eke an edge until we've got that lined up exactly, okay? Again, holding everything in place, we're going to take our tape and tape that into position, okay? That is your quickest way and easiest way of lining up that die each and every time. Remember, you're more than welcome to mark up your dies with your permanent markers. They are yours. If it helps you like it helps me, get that quick alignment each and every time. It's the easiest way to do so, okay? Now, through our die cutting machine, all we're doing is using our normal plate combination as we would do for this type of vignette. Of course, if you wanted to, you could add the additional dies for the decoupage layers as well. What we've done is built up lots and lots of decoupage layers, so no pro paper is wasted on this. Into our die cutting machine, because I'm cutting something quite intricate, I'm going to use my cut tidy. Cut tidy, as we've mentioned on these previous lives, is almost like an extra little plastic shim. It just pushes that cardstock down into the card, and it can be used over and over again. It just achieves a really nice beveled edge and a nice clean, crisp cut each and every time. Okay, let's have a little scroll back through the comments, make sure I'm not missing any questions. Tina Karina says, hi everyone, enjoying making cards in my craft room whilst nursing a cold. Loving my new Carnation Crafts dies. Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're feeling under the weather. Hopefully you start feeling better soon, Tina. Natalie says, I'm awaiting delivery of the character USB that's arriving at any moment and looking forward to playing with it. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, isn't it nice to have something arriving through the post? A little treat as well. How fantastic. Alison says, hi Hannah and fellow crafters from a very windy Norfolk. Yeah, I think it's windy all over the country today. Alison, it's been pretty dreadful weather-wise in May. Hopefully better weather is on the way. So all we're doing is just gently easing that frame out of the paper, the cardstock there. That will go to one side for my stash. And the tape I pop on the edge of my table because we can always reuse that again. So I'm just gently taking off all the layers of tape like so and saving those for another project. I tend to find it's easier to remove the tape and then remove the dies just because I've got a little bit more control over what we're doing. So our die sets themselves all have these quick release holes. So you just poke with a pokey tool through to release that cardstock initially, and then gives us a little bit of purchase as we ease that out of the frame like so. And then we have the standout rose frame, just also include, again, just being gentle as we take this out like so. And here we have our die cut all perfectly aligned just by following that simple method of looking for that rectangle, as we say, marking it with some permanent marker should you wish to, and then cutting away. Okay, so that gives us the perfect alignment for the cut on the roses there as well, which looks super, super pretty. As we said, if you wanted to, you can embellish this further with a few of the decoupage layers too, but that will ensure you get the perfect cut each and every time. Hopefully that clears up using the standout frame for you guys. And I think, you know what, let's go ahead and make a card with this particular design as well. Margaret says, do you cut your cut tidy in half? No, Margaret, I don't tend to. You could do if you wanted to get more use out of it, of sort of different areas and things. But no, I tend to use my cut tidy in its entirety, and I just use it and use it and use it until it disintegrates completely. So for our card design, what we're going to go with is obviously that standout frame being the sort of centerpiece to our design. So what we're going to introduce, and I've lost the die set, is the mats and layers for this particular die, which I now can't see. Where have you gone? Oh, it's gone walkies. There it is. Stuck under everything else. So we mentioned them in the beginning. These little frames here are what we call our mats and layers for our die cuts. And you'll notice these are perfectly sized to match in with the frame of the standout frame as well. So we're going to cut these twice into our Moments in Time cardstock, and they're going to form the topper for our card. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to one side, and for the minute we're going to form our base. So what I've got here is, I think it's an 8x8. Let me just check. Always worth checking these things. Yep, 8x8 card blank. And for something a little bit different, we've done this kind of cutaway look. So you'll notice I've cut away just the middle of the card, and we're going to build quite a nice concept card, if you like. To the inside, because often we forget the insides of cards and things, and they are just as important as the front, we are popping in a matte layer using the darker pink of the Moments in Time Perfect papers, and also one of the free to download backing papers. Now, with most of the collections, we do offer a range of free to download backing papers. You'll find them stored alongside the other vignettes and things in the collection. And these are a lovely way of introducing a little bit of texture to your designs. They're designed to match in, obviously, with colourways, but you'll notice some of the designs also have sort of reminiscence of the die cuts as well. So it's a lovely way of tying in themes. Sticking this down, using a little bit of finger lift tape. It just means we can get a nice flat layer of cardstock like so. And you notice all we've done is folded the edges of the tape, the carrier sheet of the tape, over the edge of the matte layer, giving us a little tab that we can use to align, hold in place, and then peel. Okay, that just ensures we get a nice even alignment all the way around. Nice and easy to do so as well. To the front of the card, we are going to add in the same colour mats and layers as what's on the inside, so that darker pink from the Perfect papers, and then a strip of the backing papers too. And again, that's just going to align to the top with the same distance all the way around as what we've done on the inside of the card, again using finger lift tape like so. Okay, so you might be looking at this and thinking, okay, and that's all very well, but my card's not exactly going to stand up like this. We've created this cutout section in the middle for something a little bit different. So here we have the bottom of the card, and we're going to stick that down. We're going to hold that down rather than stick that down. So the alignment is the bottom of the front of the card matches with the bottom of the back of the card. And then this is where our mats and layers come into play, because these are going to bridge that gap. They're going to hold the top of the card to the bottom of the card, creating this lovely sort of cutaway effect in the middle. So the mats and layers, this time around I'm using foam tape. This is just insulation tape, nothing fancy. It does its job. And these have been stuck top and bottom, just like so. So when we come to a line, just getting that nice and central, as we've said, it's going to hold that design in place. And again, peeling away, top and bottom, and now we have that card blank. Okay, so you've got this interesting sort of shape going on, this interesting sort of dynamic of the cutaway there. If you wanted to add even more strength to your card design, what you could always do on the inside of the card is add a little bit of like construction weight acetate or something like that. Then recut your strips and cover them so you don't see any of the joins of the acetate as well. But if you're working with sort of heavyweight cardstock like we are here, particularly in the card base, which is 350 GSM, and in the Perfect papers, which are 300 GSM, you've got enough weight there to hold this card together. Alison says, what size are the flaps? Let's have a look. It's been a while since I've prepped this card. 2.5 inches top and bottom. and then that will just leave you with your cutaway in the middle. So we're working on 8x8 card blank, and the flaps are 2.5 inches like so. So standout rose frame, as you've just seen us cut, can nestle beautifully into that central panel. Do you see how you're taking it from something quite plain? Adding in all this bright, all this texture really does bring that little design to life. I'm going to stick this particular part of the design down using some pin flare glue gel. Pin flare glue gel is a 3-dimensional glue gel used for creating height, used for creating dimension. And I'm just going to go around the edge of the frame as well, onto those little areas where there's left-in bits, if you like, from the cutaway. They are there so you can easily stick little design detail there, but it just means you can get your glue in all the way around the edge, should you wish to stick these things down. Obviously, if you prefer using foam pads, go ahead and do so. That's no problem either. Pin flare just gives me a little bit more wiggle room when I come to place. It means I can get the alignment spot on all the way around and just ease that glue into place like so. Okay, just squidge that a little bit. You get this nice sort of standout, sort of nice 3-dimensional look to the design itself. To the front, we're going to have a little bit of fun with decorating this. Okay, so we're going to take some other designs from the collection itself. And as we always say in these lives and things like that, it's always worth lining things up and having a look at how they look before you commit to sticking, okay? Because you might find you want to change up your design, you might find you want to add in. For example, my initial idea for the design was to include this lovely little sort of packaging, you know, gift boxes, presents, things like that. But I felt, just because you got sort of the pink arguing with the pink behind, there's a lot of pink going on, it wasn't standing out enough. So this is where we can use things like mats and layers to highlight little die sets. And you see now that's come to the foreground. That has its own frame. It has its own quality and dimension to it as well. We're also going to include the numbers. Okay, so this is going to be a 50th birthday card, a nice special card. And once again, we're using that same colour theme. So whenever you're looking for ideas on how to build your cards or how to work with colour themes, always look to your vignettes for inspirations. Always look to your perfect papers because they are there for a reason. They are there to colour match in with everything. So what we've done is mats and layers in the darker pink and the lighter pink, and then the numbers themselves cut from white. Now I have seen so many queries on how we cut out the centres of the numbers, and actually, let me let you into a little secret. It is super easy. Let me bring the numbers in. These are our fine figures, and if I can get them out of the packaging there, they have 3 lots of elements to them. So you've got your main number, like so. You've then got your initial mat and layer, and then your second mat and layer, which is a split die. When we say split, let me grab one. They come in 2 halves, okay? So you've got 2 halves there, meaning you can do over the edge or your own unique bases and things like that for your card designs. Again, we've got demonstrations featuring split mat layers over on the Facebook group. So if you want to have a little refresher on that, just head to the video files there and you'll see that. The question we were asked over and over and over is, how do we get the centre to cut out of your die? So let me grab these 0 and you'll see. When they come, I'll grab one of them that I haven't taken apart yet. Let's have a look at that one. They come with that centre with little pips either side to hold that little centre in place, okay? Super, super simple to remove. You just ink the centre out, just gently twist it, okay? And you'll be left with the outside cutting die and the inside cutting die. Only do that if you want to cut away the centres of your numbers. We've had them made so they are conjoined, they are added, they are joined. So it's easier for transportation and it gives you the option, okay? It's just little pips either side, you just twist that metal out. When you cut, to make sure you're aligning perfectly, cut your 2 mats and layers first, okay? hold them together with a little repositionable tape, and then cut into both the layers with your center die set, like so. Okay, if you cut it, depending on what machine you have, it might well cut through both layers of cardstock there, leaving you with obviously the aperture like so. If it doesn't cut all the way through, it's going to mark, it's going to leave an impression on the larger matten layer, which means you can then align this little bit onto that second bit of card and cut again to get your cutaway. Okay, hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. As we say, we've seen so many questions asking how we get that look. It's just simply just removing that centerpiece and using it as an independent die in there as well. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so let's now think about positioning these on our card. So again, we want to lift them from the overall design. So we're going to be using a little bit of pin flare. But I'm going to position and then I'm going to wiggle. Okay, so I'm not going to stick them flat down. I'm going to have a little bit of a wiggle once I've got both numbers in place. Again, pin flare, glue gel. You can use foam pads should you prefer. The 0, I'm just going to slip slightly under the 5 to give it much more of a sort of dynamic look. And then just adjust those to make sure they're nice and straight on the front of the card, like so. Okay, so that overlap just creates nice dimension, it creates a nice look. Within the fine figures, you also get all your ordinals as well. So we're going to go in with the 50th, but again, using that overlapping idea to stick this into place, okay? Just using a little bit of pin flare. Avril says, how did you cut out the 0 with the hole in the middle? Was what I was going to ask. I spent ages trying to do this and asking everyone. Now, thanks to, we have been told a great secret. Yeah, that's the thing with Carnation. There are no great secrets. We do make dies as simply to use as possible. It's just literally taking the middle out of that little 0 and then cutting through. If you want a more in-depth look at how we cut apertures and things like that, Carla has done a fantastic video again over on the group, which is available within the video files. So for the ordinals, we're just again placing that over the 0. I'm just adjusting as we go just to make sure that is nice and aligned. And that's giving us a really nice look to the 50th. So yes, you've got your standout frame in the background. Yes, you've got all this lovely, lovely detailing, but actually you're paring it back a little bit by using just this white space on the number itself. Of course, if you prefer, you can have your numbers spaced out. You can have them sort of taking over the whole of the front of the card. And being numbers, being the fine figures, they are ideal to personalise these cards. Perhaps it's a 51st, you know, perhaps it's a 63rd. The ability to be able to craft these things in your unique way means they are so much more desirable. You know, you're going to gift it to someone who's going to really know you've spent the time and effort making this card for them. As we mentioned, we're going to add in our little mats and layers to the front of the card here. Again, I'm happy to overlap that number just a little bit with our mats and layers for the presents. Again, whenever you're thinking of colour combinations, just look to your mats and layers that you've used. You'll notice here, I'm sort of returning to this theme of the white on the pink. And let's just hold that in place. And then this little side needs a little bit more pin flare just to lift it up to make it sit straight. So I'm just sort of lifted up the die there, squeezed a little bit more pin flare underneath just to hold it up, because obviously these are a little bit higher than the background of the card. You'll notice for the alignment of that particular matten layer, we have just aligned it with the bottom of the design here. It just means you get more sort of continuity between your designs and things aren't floating in midair. You're grounding the presence on the matten layer on the bottom of the card. Again, with all of our vignettes, give them a little bit of shape, give them a little bit of tweak with your hands, with your fingers, with your ball tools, whatever you like, just to bring them to life so they're not sitting flat on the card. And you can just squidge them up to make them really pop, make them really undulate as well. Again, go in with your pin flare or your foam pads just to lift that height and dimension in areas like so, and nestle your design into that matten layer, into that frame to make that stand out. And you're kind of telling this story, you're kind of having this idea whereby the mats and layers are repeating, everything's repeating, so everything matches together. Also included within this collection, I thought this is the perfect little sentiment here, spoil yourself. again, cut on your white matte layer and then your darker pink, so we're matching that in. It's the same colour combination that we've used on the Ordinal, the TH, white in the background for the matte layer, darker pink for the top. So again, it's those little rhythms, it's those little repeat processes within your crafting that make everything tie together. This is going to go across the front of our presents as well, so a little bit more pin flare into place, like so, just wrapping that over, and it kind of, you know, gives that story to the front of the card. You're celebrating a special birthday, a special milestone birthday, the 50th there. You've got a whole stash of lovely presents and things, and you're treating your friend, you're saying, go on, spoil yourself. You're giving that permission to enjoy, and it's just a nice acknowledgement there as well. Now, one thing I did notice, obviously, we've got a few little sort of beigey kind of darker flowers within the design, and also you've also got these little sort of parcels that are wrapped in this nice sort of neutral tone. Now that tone doesn't feature anywhere else on the card, so to balance that, what we can do is introduce our little bow, which had gone walkies, but I have found it. These are the half and half bows. All the bows that we do in sort of half and half ranges are essentially the same sort of way of constructing. This one has a little rosette at the back in this same neutral colour palette, and it was a really great way of balancing the card design and just making a highlight of this little neutral colour at the bottom. Okay, so we're going to pop that to the top corner because that top corner was looking a little bit naked. Having that bow on the top corner just really brings the design together, and of course it then creates a triangle because we've talked about the triangles before. You've got the neutral colour up here, you've got the neutral colour down towards this little present here, and also the neutral colour in this little present here as well. So you've got that triangle. Remember, we're working in threes, and it's focusing the look to the centre of the card there as well. So a little bit of pin flare to the back of the bow at a nice jaunty angle over the edge of the 5. And then of course what we also have are these extra little additions. Okay, so for these you can use them as a more three-dimensional bow. They cut in a strip like so, and all we need to do is curl them, and to do that we use I find the easiest way to do so is with a pokey tool. So you take the edge of your thumb holding the center of the bow and run that along the length of that die cut. Just encourage that fold round. It's a nice smooth way of getting a fold rather than trying to take that sort of dot into the center straight away. Just by creating a curve in the paper gives it a much smoother finish. Okay. We can then stick the two centers inside. So let me grab some bookbinding glue, nice strong adhesive, again from Pinflair. And we're going to just stick each side into the middle. So you're folding those circles into one another and adding a little bit of glue, just like so, and then holding that in place until it grabs. Try not to get glue everywhere, Hannah, which seems to be something I do on a regular basis. I don't know about you guys, but I spend most of my day covered in glue. So I'm just going to hold that whilst it sets. I'm going to have a scroll back through the comments, make sure I'm not missing any questions. Is anyone crafting along? Is anyone thinking about making this type of card for a friend or a family member? Do let me know, because it's always nice to hear. Let me just stick. I think that's good to go. Yeah. So there we have your little bow. Nice three-dimensional bow there created. And let's go in with a little bit of bookbinding on this as well. Nice strong adhesive for papers. And this I'm going to set across the centre of that rosette there as well. Okay, so you see how now you've created a nice three-dimensional bow to the top of that card as well. Really, really easy steps to follow, something a little bit more dynamic, and hopefully it's given you a good overview of how we cut that standout frame and the numbers as well. If you do have any questions, please do ask away, because it's always nice to have your interaction. Let me just turn that camera around. Oh, there I am. Perfect. So this is a card we've just made using the Moments in Time collection, using that standout frame as your topper in the background onto an 8x8 card blank. In the background, we have the perfect papers and the free backing papers to download from Carnation Crafts as well. The presents in the foreground, and of course the 50th number just sitting centrally too. Okay, lots and lots of detailing there. I will obviously take a picture once the glue is dried and pop that up on the website for anyone that wishes to follow it. And as always, we do encourage you, if you would like to make this, make your own version, make it for a friend, make it for a family member, pop your makes up in our Facebook group, Carnation Crafters, as well. I can't see any questions coming in, which hopefully means I've covered everything, which is lovely. Carla will be back tomorrow. She's on air, I believe at 9:45, and then she has another show later in the afternoon. But again, I will pop the details of the upcoming show in the comments. She's on tomorrow with a USB, so we're revisiting. We're going back to air with our Carnation Blooms and our Into the Woods USBs with SVG files designed for your cutting machines. So it's well worth taking a look at that. Perhaps you've already got the USBs and you'd like a little helping hand with a few sort of information or a few little bits of inspiration, for example. Carla will be on hand tomorrow on Create and Craft to do that. I myself will be back. I will be back on a Facebook Live on Wednesday. Again, I'll pop the details up in our events page with a look at how we use the Flourished Floral, which was the free die that came alongside the Vernal Blooms collection a couple of weeks ago from Create and Craft. So if you want some inspiration on how to use your Flourished Floral, do tune into that, I should say. We will put an event up in the Facebook page. If you do join the events, you'll also get a notification of when we are going live as well. So it's always worth checking that too. As always, if you've got any requests for demonstrations you'd love to see within reason, please do hop on over to our group, Carnation Crafters on Facebook. We have sort of a request post there where you can put your requests in, and we can always try and consider those for live demonstrations as well. It's been lovely having your company this afternoon, and until next time, bye bye guys, see you later.